decided to make a video on how to turn a Epiphone Les Paul, where they're trying to make it play like a $2,000 Les Paul. I've owned both old and new Les Pauls. I've owned, real Les Paul customs and real Les Paul standards that cost several $1,000s, and I bought this one, and these are about a little under $500 or so, and I found that this one actually plays just as good as those. The only difference you're going to find in the guitars is, obviously these aren't made with the highest quality materials as the regular Gibsons. You'll find that the wood on the back is in several pieces, and the neck is probably another 5 or 6 pieces too, all pieced together. But the more glue joints in the wood, the stronger the neck actually is. You glue a piece of wood and it's stronger than a regular piece of wood. But anyways, to make a guitar like this sound better, when I first bought it, it sounded alright, and it had a nice ring to it, but it's still, the action was kind of messed up and pickups didn't sound right. To start out, what I did to make the guitar play better, first thing I did is I put a new set of strings on the guitar. I set the intonation on it just as a baseline, and set the action up, adjusted the neck. And to adjust the neck, basically what I've done is you put your first finger here on the first fret, and you go back about 2 frets where it joins the body. You put your pinky there, and you put your thumb as far as you can get it out, and you push down and look at the gap. If the gap is about the size of a playing card, then you're usually in good shape. That's where I keep it. I like the action very low. So I set that up, played it for a while, got a feel for the guitar. And first thing I noticed is, one, it had a very muddy sound. 2, it didn't sustain very well. Even though the body rang nicely, it didn't sustain very well, and something was out of whack up here. So first thing I did is address the nut, and it also wasn't staying in tune very well. So what I did on the nut, when you want to see how the height of the nut is, and what I would do also is go to check out some other YouTube videos. I don't want to take responsibility for any of the work you do, but what I did here on the nut is, you can see some videos online. They'll show you how to file it and adjust it properly. But if you put your first finger right there on the 3rd fret, and you look at the gap between the actual fret and the string, when I got the guitar, the gap was pretty big, and I like it about the size, half of a playing card. I keep it pretty low. I go online to find out what the proper spec is. I just did it to set up the way I wanted. But what I ended up doing is the nut wasn't filed properly, so I widened the nut, and I also made it kind of like a U channel. When I got it, the nut was more like a V, and the string set in it like that, and it caught up on it. So what I did is I opened up the width of it, lowered it, kind of made it like a U, so the string sits in there and slides nicely inside it. Then I put some pencil lead inside there. You just kind of scrape it with an X-Acto knife and you put it in there. And that actually freed this up and made the action a little bit lower and play nicer. I played it for a little while after that, and then I found it still wasn't staying in tune, and the strings weren't exactly ringing the way I wanted them to ring. They weren't sustaining properly. I knew it wasn't the nut because I had just taken care of all the issues with the nut. So then I figured it's obviously the next point is the bridge. Next thing I noticed on the bridge was that the saddles, again, were kind of like the cuts were like V's or sharp corners, and the string was not actually sitting at the bottom. It was kind of getting caught on both sides. It wasn't sustaining very well. So what I did, and this is just up for interpretation there. Most people might cringe when you hear what I did, but I actually filed into the grooves. I opened the grooves up so the string sits on the bottom like that, and it just touches on the bottom of the string. Not to go too far, not that you don't want to go too far down, because you're going to lose the radius that's on there. But I just went to where there was a groove, I went to the bottom of the pre-existing groove and opened it up so the string sat in there nicely. And then once I adjusted, I tried it a few times, got each one of the strings to ring properly and sustain properly. After I did that, I actually lowered the action again to set the action up to where I liked it and reset the intonation. And going back to set intonation, what you do is you plug into your tuner, you play the string, you tune it to pitch, and so you can hear, play the E, you tune it to pitch. Then on your tuner, what you do, well, first thing you do is you play the 12th fret and you fret it, and you look at the note on the tuner. If the note is sharp, the actual saddle needs to go this way. If the note is flat, the saddle needs to go that way. You need to, if you have a flat note, you got to lessen the string length and so forth. And I would go out and check out some other videos on YouTube too to set that up. Once I did that, after that, the guitar sustained, plays nice, and it actually plays just as good as any less expensive Les Paul I've ever owned. Also, when I bought this guitar, you had a choice between a regular top and a flame top and all that stuff. And my fear with the flame top was, I figured there's no way they're going to put a solid piece of flame maple on a $400 guitar. It's probably a piece of maple with a flame veneer on it. And I like the fact that this is a solid maple top, and if you open it up, you can actually see that it's a solid piece of maple, and it's thick and not just a piece of veneer. Anyways, so now that once I got the guitar to play nicely, frets nicely, plays right up the neck, it sustains, as a nice acoustic sound to it. Then I addressed the pickups in it, and the problem I had with the pickups, and they were very muddy sounding, and I took the pickup covers off, thinking that I'd done this on other Les Pauls. I've removed the covers, and suddenly, wacko, I got a great sound. Now these are those old Nico pickups, and so I figured they must be able to get at least a decent tone